Well, that was quick. Hi, this is T.C. Doyle with Penton Technology. Hope you enjoyed that hold music. Kind of had a little bit of a Nico vibe with the Velvet Underground. So I want to welcome you all to Using File Sync to Prepare for the Unexpected. I'm your moderator, T.C. Doyle. I'm with Penton Technology, and I oversee the VARGUI MSP Mentor, Talking Cloud, and another property of ours, the Web Hosting Industry Review, which we like to call the WER. Now, before we dive in and kind of explain what we're going to be looking at and talking about today, a couple of housekeeping items that are going to help the enjoyment of this webinar for you. If you take a peek, you'll find a widget bar, and there you've got a media player, a Q&A box, the ability to hit and post to Twitter, and something on the slide area that'll help you resize your windows. I'll go through these a little bit more in depth here in a second, but please, we also want to highly emphasize this is going to be an interactive session, so you can ask questions. We'll get to those at the end after our presenters have had an opportunity to talk to you and walk through some of their slides. But the key, we want to keep the conversation going out there in social media. So if you hear something you like or you want to challenge us, go ahead and click that Twitter button in your widget bar, and you can send your information out. In addition, sometimes when it happens, you'll notice that some of the information drops below the horizon. You can click on these windows, scoot them around, and resize them just to make sure you're seeing everything in a proper way. So what are we going to cover today? Well, with our host, eFolder, we're going to be talking about a variety of things out there. This is a topic that's of particular interest to me. I've been doing a couple of articles on it, because I'm a guy who kind of loves these consumer services that are out there in the cloud, but as we all know, these are not industrial strength. So we've got some experts going to walk you through that topic and what your customers need to know. But in addition, we're also going to talk about the landscape of data disasters and SMBs, an overview of eFolder's file sync solution for managed service providers, and how partners are using eFolder's file sync capabilities to protect their customers from data loss. Joining me today is a guest expert that I think you're going to really enjoy. This is Ted Hulsey. He's the Vice President of Marketing with eFolder. And if you want to follow him, he's at TedSEFolder. He's also got a cool blog that he does, and I'm going to give it a plug, channelcheck.squarespace.com, channelcheck.squarespace.com. Most recently, he posted up something on his blog, 6 takeaways for MSPs from IT Nation 2015. Definitely worth a read. Ted, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, TC. Thank you very much, and thanks for the plug on the blog. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. I like the work that you do out there. Now, before, Ted, I hand it over to you, I want to talk about using file sync to prepare for the unexpected. We've got a poll question, and I'm curious as to what the audience thinks of the following. So the question is, which of the following disasters have your clients experienced? CryptoLocker, ransomware infection, data device theft or loss, accidental data deletion, natural disasters, or all of the above. You know, if I had a nickel for every partner that I bumped into that's not just been hit by CryptoLocker once, but multiple times, how many times their customers have had that, I'd be a rich man. So let's, I'm guessing that that's going to be the most popular, but let's take a peek and see if we can get some results here. Yep, and indeed, you're going to see that CryptoLocker, as I suspected, that is huge. This any surprise to you, Ted?
No, this is fairly common. I mean, right now we're kind of in an epidemic of ransomware. That's for sure. But all of these challenges hit organizations of all sizes. So, no, not that surprised by the data.
Yeah, all right, so there's the baseline for the discussion. A lot of partners out there with customers that are getting hit with these types of problems. There's all kinds of solutions out there in the marketplace that people can avail themselves, including free consumer-oriented ones. But I want you to take us through, introduce your guests, and talk about why there's a better way, a better approach with some of these solutions out there that you guys offer.
Okay, well, great. Let's do this. So what we've done today is something we just love to do on webinars, and we virtually do it every week with our partners, is to have partners talk about their own experiences. So let me introduce the partner panel that I'm going to be moderating here over the next hour. First, on your left is Steve Lawson. He's the principal consultant with Bulletproof Infotech. Steve, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, welcome. And then in the middle is Matt Dubois, and he's the president and CTO of D2 Business Solutions. Matt, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. And then it's not Steve's brother, but we have another Lawson here, and it's David Lawson, who's president of Azzaron. David, welcome.
Thanks.
Okay, great guys. So this is our panel. Each one of these guys, I'm going to give them a chance to introduce their business, talk a little bit about how they're organized, how they're tackling the managed services market, and then I'm going to spend a little time just making sure we're all on the same page in terms of the market we're talking about today, which is the file sync and collaboration market, and some of the unique capabilities that file sync products can solve when a data disaster strikes. And then each one of these gentlemen is going to have a chance to kind of share some real-life client case studies that they've lived through where they've been able to help their clients. And so without further ado, let's kind of do some let's do a little kind of a deeper dive on each company. So Steve, why don't you go ahead and tell us more about Bulletproof Infotech?
Yeah, Bulletproof, we've been around for about 30 years, founded in about 1987. We're based in southern Alberta. We have about 45 clients and 500 end users on Anchor right now, but that represents probably about 50% of our clients are on Anchor in our MSP. Our clients, as you see on the slide here, includes oil and gas, which doesn't surprise many, probably for Alberta. A lot of medical we do, and quite a bit of not-for-profit that we use Anchor for to save costs. So, yeah, most of our clients are around Alberta, so we're just not stuck in the southern part, but we're all over Alberta with our users.
Okay, well, great, Steve. Let's go to Matt. Talk a little bit about D2.
Hi, so D2 was, we're founded in 2008. We have about 100 clients on Anchor. We primarily use Anchor with as part of a suite of other cloud services, hosted desktop and those type of services. We really focus on healthcare, financial services, and aerospace. So we're utilizing a lot of the security that's built into Anchor to add some value to our other services for our clients.
Okay, well, great. And then last but not least, David.
Yeah, thanks. So we rolled out our first infrastructure project in 2010. We started the year before, but our first infrastructure as a service product was rolled out that year to construction companies, which is our primary vertical that we service. We've got about 36 customers on Anchor, integrated with desktops as a service and other services like Matt uses. We integrate it with other services and provide it as a kind of a suite of products. We're based in Arizona, but we have users all across the country. Our customers are all U.S.-based, but we have customers who use our systems really worldwide, from Europe to Asia-Pacific to Canada down to Central America. We service, like I said, construction companies. We also help professional services like law firms, financial, and then we also have a big vertical, big presence in veterinary hospitals nationwide.
Hi, it's TC Doyle again. Ted, you speaking? Because I think we may have lost you on your audio. Well, I'll pick it up from here then if Ted's not there. Bulletproof Technology, I've got to ask you, please, 1987 is when you guys were founded?
Sorry. Yeah, we were a break fix shop from 1987 to 2006. So yes, we've been around in our area, southern Alberta, for almost 30 years.
That's extraordinary. It truly is. A lot of evolutions. So, while we're waiting for Ted to rejoin, data disasters and the SMB marketplace. Now you can see some of the numbers that we're going to pull up here in a second.
Hey everyone, this is Niraj from eFolder. Ted is dialing back in. I think he had a minor issue with his audio. But in the meantime, one I kind of walk you through the statistics here. So, data disasters are pretty common in SMBs nowadays. Some of the things we've got here are, in the last few years, over $30 million has been paid out by victims of CryptoLocker to the hackers. And that's a pretty serious threat to any company's financial viability. And that's something, seriously important to consider. Another statistic, 70 million smartphones are lost every year. When you've got, so many people with so much sensitive info being carried around in their pockets and so many phones are being lost or stolen, it's a very serious data privacy risk. And, you need to make sure that whenever you have confidential company data on the go, that it's kept in a very secure manner. And then finally, 78% of business people, according to IDC, have experienced or will experience data loss. I think this survey was done in 2014. And, when you've got all this important data and you've got it centralized maybe on a file server or on people's computers, it's really important to have a backup of that data, or just to make sure that it's replicated in the cloud so that there's no issue with data loss, data being permanently lost and not being able to be recovered. So, Ted, are you back yet?
Yes, I am, Niraj. Thank you very much.
Great.
So, okay. Sorry about that, everybody, but let's go. So I think Niraj kind of reviewed some of the high-level stats, of disasters that are impacting, businesses. So the key thing here is that we already have a whole range of different tools to deal with disasters, right? We can build in redundancy in networks. We can have, firewalls configured in high availability configurations. We can have redundant internet connections in our clients. We can use BDR and backup technologies as ways to defend against disasters. But file sync is another layer in the levels of defense that an MSP can layer in because of some of the unique capabilities in the solution. First of all, a file sync solution is giving organizations that you serve higher levels of redundancy and availability and productivity because you're taking content, you're syncing it between devices, you're syncing it to the cloud. If any one given device is lost or stolen in the context of a crisis, your data is elsewhere. And so in a worst case scenario, you're able to easily get your data back and stay productive no matter what your commitments are as a business professional. But I think it's important just to kind of set the stage and talk about what some of those capabilities are. But this diagram just shows, if you're not familiar with eFolder's Anchor solution, it is a business-grade file sync and collaboration solution that is uniquely designed for deployment by managed service providers. It, at its most basic level, of course, gives users and your clients the ability to sync content between workstations, laptops, servers, and mobile devices. Everything is synced to the cloud. The main value proposition, of course, is that users and their clients are able to collaborate on content, collaborate on work product, share content in an agile sort of way and in a secure sort of way. And the product is built from the ground up for managed service providers, so it's multi-tenant. So it's designed for MSPs to deploy it to client A, client B, client C, have unique security policies to be able to hierarchically manage security policies and the like, because it's all about one key thing is it's just about as you grow as an MSP, as your file sync deployment grows, you need to be able to manage it on a global basis. You need to have you need to be able to control your labor costs while serving a growing client base. So I'm going to briefly touch on some of the unique capabilities in the Anchor solution that deal with disaster recovery in some level. So CryptoLocker and the various flavors of CryptoLocker and ransomware are a plague today on the business market. Companies of all sizes are being forced to, are having their data encrypted and are being asked to pay a ransom. And, even the FBI is on record saying if you don't have your data backed up, your best bet is to pay the terrorists or pay the criminals, which is crazy. We can't allow our clients to be vulnerable. So Anchor has a mass revision rollback capability where you can roll back the entire set of content for a particular user, synced content for a particular user back to an earlier known revision that is not encrypted. So it's very easy to use. It's a point-and-click type of restoration activity, and it's one layer, right, in the defense against CryptoLocker. Let's look at some other capabilities. Okay, and then the other capability that's in the Anchor product is Anchor also includes file level backup. So file level backup is, there's a lot of different requirements that a client or you, the MSP, may have for file level backup. But Anchor includes at no extra charge a very basic backup capability in the product. You, as the administrator or the MSP or the user, can go in and select different files and folders on a machine, the desktop in some cases, and actually back up that data. And it's backed up in real time, just like the data is being synced in real time. And then last but not least is what we call file server enablement. And file server enablement is all around cloud connecting an existing legacy file server and then making it so that the file server can sync to team shares in the Anchor service, and so that don't have to VPN in, they don't need to be connected in real time to the file server. They can work offline and then resync back, and all the data will get synced back to the file server. So this is less about recovering from disasters, and this is more just a killer feature that deals with all of the vagaries of remote access out there. I mean, that's the critical thing today, is that you've got a highly mobile workforce. They're taking their computing devices and going all sorts of places. They may be on an airplane. They may be out in the field where they don't have connectivity. And it's a fairly complex situation. And historically, things like VPN technology plus the file server were the key ways for an organization to stay in sync. And today, something like file server enablement in Anchor is a much better way to make sure that remote users and the headquarters users who are there with the file server stay in sync. And then all of that content is easily accessible. So what I'd like to do now is go back to our panel, and we're going to, one by one, Steve, Matt, and David are going to talk about different experiences they've had where there's been a disaster at their clients, and they've had a chance to leverage one of the capabilities I just introduced. So let's go to Steve first. Steve, talk to us a little bit about this GPS tracking company and what happened there.
Yeah, we have a GPS tracking company here in Alberta that we actually got rid of their on-premise file server and switched them completely to using Anchor as their file server, as their sales and workforce is actually spread out all over Canada. So that was something we did about a year before we had a CryptoLocker infection at one of the users there. Yeah, so it happened probably late at night, and by the morning we actually had the entire Anchor folder completely encrypted by CryptoLocker. So it was just a matter of us going into the console and clicking the mass revision button to take it all back. And then, I mean, there was still the unfortunate side that we still had to wait for people's slower internet connections on there and to roll back the files. But by the end of the day, we were back to where we were the day before. So in some ways, it was a really easy thing other than the slower internet to recover the files at that point.
What were the reactions of the client in that scenario? I mean, were they surprised, or were they just pleasantly surprised and relieved that you were able to fix
Yeah, they were
problem?
pleasantly surprised and relieved, because I mean, their first thought when they saw the thing that they were going to have to pay all this money to like get their files back, and we're like, nope, we have a backup here, and we can just roll this back for you guys. So they were happy that, you know, it was, you know, other than lost time, we were back in business within a few hours.
Okay, great. So, Matt, let's talk a little bit about your experience with the ransomware market.
So we had a electronics component distribution company that had the Anchor solution as an a la carte service. We had approached them about a full managed service plan initially, and they didn't feel that they just wanted to solve the one issue that they had at the moment, which was access to documents for their salespeople all around the country. So we implemented the Anchor solution, and what happened was they were infected with the CryptoLocker virus. It basically locked out near all their data on their server. We were using we had the cloud file server enablement set up, and the remote backup on the laptops for the remote salespeople. So when they got that virus, they were in a bad spot and didn't know what to do. They called us up and asked if we could help. We were able to restore all the data, and we really were able to, at that point, convert them to a full managed service client. So not only did it really kind of save the day for our client and save them a lot of money, it was, made us look like heroes, and we're able to turn it into turn them into a more profitable client and help sell other services. So it worked out really well.
Okay, well that's a great result all around, I would say. And David, what was your experience?
So we've actually had a few construction companies get hit by CryptoLocker. We can put on as many firewalls and protect them, but it seems that, as Ted mentioned earlier, this is just a rampant problem. Probably had 3 out of 4 dozen companies get hit. But Anchor saved the day. This particular customer has a large on-premise installation with file server enablement, and then they have desktops as a service in the cloud, and so another file server there, and they got infected at their primary location. It started the CryptoLocker started eating its way through files. Once that virus was contained, once the infection was contained, we went back and rolled back, and within a few minutes, their on-premise was at 150 megabit connection, in the cloud a gigabit. Literally within a few minutes, all of their files, gigabytes and gigabytes of data, was restored at multiple locations. So it was a pretty cool thing to watch, and it was a pretty cool thing, to get that call from the office manager and the president saying, hey, I don't always know why we have IT companies backing us up, but this is the day that we know you always know what you're talking about. So it was pretty cool.
Awesome. They don't need to wait till the QBR to find out about all the value you've been delivering. So
that's right.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, let's change gears and talk about the file level backup capability in the Anchor service. Steve, how are your clients using that capability?
Ted, it's TC Doyle. Before Steve dives into that, I got a quick question for Steve.
Sure.
Steve, one of our attendees today, James, wants to know, in your case, back on the CryptoLocker question, was it the entire C drive or just the data that was impacted? And then please continue with what Ted's question was.
Sure. Yeah, in this case, the user's laptop the whole C drive was encrypted, at least all the user files. But thankfully, that user was religious enough to be saving all his data in the Anchor folder, so that helped recover 99% of the data. Some of his desktop items were lost, but they were pretty minor problems. So.
Fantastic. All right, Ted, please re-ask the question, and Steve, continue.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good segue into the file level backup kind of use case. I think that it points out that, I'd say that the most common deployment scenario I see is that, MSPs will coach and train and instruct their clients and the users to start putting all of their work product into their file, the individual sync folder for each user, and then into team shares, just because that's the most productive way to use the service, really. I mean, because then all of your data is accessible on all the devices you want it to be, you want to access it on, and that, of course, will make sure in the context of a scenario like this, where there's a CryptoLocker infection, that all of the data is restorable. But I think you point out a good point, Steve, that if a client doesn't use the backup capability or an MSP doesn't leverage it, users can squirrel away content on different parts of their machine, like the desktop or other directories, that may not be in the sync folder and therefore not protected. But that's where you can use the backup capability. I mean, we've done certain webinars and talked to certain partners where they will proactively, for every user, go in and turn on backup as well as a second layer of protection for the data. So anyway, but that's maybe kind of a segue here. Steve, how are you using the backup capability of your clients?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing with our client. We actually have been using Anchor just for them to save their files so they can move between different computers and to save their files. But in this case, we actually have, with this field distribution company, we have about 12 executives that roam all over Western Canada and Western United States. So as one feature, since they're never in the office to get their offline files backed up with Windows, we decided to start using Anchor to back up their entire user profile in real time. So anytime they get an internet connection and save a file to their My Documents or the desktop or any place like that, it automatically syncs it back to the Anchor server. So we haven't had a use case yet entirely for this, but I'm sure there'll be one day when one of them will either get a laptop stolen, and it will thankfully be an easy restore for that.
Okay, great. Textbook use case, I think, for the file level backup capability in the product. Matt, how about you?
So we implemented this for this LED light manufacturer. They had a handful of remote salespeople that lived off their laptops and traveled all over the country. We installed the Anchor solution, and we implemented it at the corporate office as well as on these laptops. And we had asked everybody to save. You ask salespeople or anybody to save to their My Documents or a certain directory, and you hope they do it, but a lot of times they don't. Especially these anybody's worked with remote salespeople or traveling salespeople. They're a special group of people, and they like doing things their way, and that's the way they do it. They bring in the money, and so it's hard to talk to them sometimes. But we enabled the backup of the whole computer, knowing full well that they were going to save to their desktop no matter what we asked them to do or what their managers asked them to do, which came in real handy. Their top salesman, or one of their top salesmen, would break about a laptop once a month. He was spilling stuff, throwing it around. Who knows what he was doing, but we regularly had to replace his laptop and used the Anchor software to restore all his data, his desktop. So it worked out well.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think it really raises a key point here is that MSPs, we have to deal in the world of reality, right? And the users who don't follow instructions, or they're the top dogs, or they're bringing in the money, and they can't be told what to do. They can't even be asked what to do in many cases. We have to use technology as a way to provide multiple layers of a safety net around this user behavior so that data is private, protected, backed up, and easily restorable when one of those new other laptops goes missing. So very real scenario, I think. Anyone who's dealing with companies with large field sales teams would realize this is very, very common. So David,
absolutely, yeah, this is the feature we probably use the most in Anchor. It saves people on a weekly basis. We handle it a little bit differently. We understand that people aren't going to remember to necessarily save items to their file sync folders. So by policy, we will map their My Documents in some cases right to their sync folders, or in some cases map their My Documents to a team share. Like I said, this comes in handy on a weekly basis. People will delete items. Anchor has an incredible tool to simply see all of the files that have been deleted, and we can kind of run through a list with people. Hey, you're missing this one. Hey, you're missing this one, and instantaneous restore of those. We have laptops get lost or stolen on a regular basis. And the other thing really is just kind of continuity of service. These, in combination with, for example, hosted email service, these guys who are losing laptops, they literally have to go down to the electronics store, pick up a new machine, and when they turn on their email and sign in and then turn on and install Anchor, they are back up and running, usually within minutes.
That's right. I mean, I think it highlights how really today, I mean, I think at some level, it's the hardware is completely commoditized, and it's the software and protecting the data and the ability to quickly restore things to keep people productive, which is where all the value gets created by technology. So, we do, eFolder, we do a ton in the BDR space, and we have a lot of conversation around the cost of downtime. In many of these scenarios we're talking about here, it's individual users, or in some cases full file servers, but in many cases, individual users who are temporarily inconvenienced. But if you have a salesperson and they're down for a whole day, that's thousands of dollars of value flushed down the toilet. So it's really important for productivity and value generation and satisfaction at your clients that you have really easy ways to get them back up and running, no matter what kind of challenge they get faced with.
And there's another layer to that too, in terms of keeping revisions of every file. The salespeople and other outside users often make changes to those files, so the ability to roll back at any point in time. We talked earlier about rolling back whole folders, but rolling back any individual file and viewing the audited trail of who made changes to that file and when has saved a lot of customers headaches of retyping and figuring out who deleted pages out of PDFs and things like that.
That's right. And often people discover that there's undesired revision changes when they're under the gun, and some proposal is due, some RFP is due, and speed can be of the essence in a time like that. So the ability to quickly help those users is really vital. So, Steve, talk to us about how you're using file server enablement, if you would.
Sure. Yeah, this was actually one of our first anchor clients. It was a group of 14 realtors here in Alberta. Alberta has actually a unique realtor situation where the Alberta Realtors Board has banned the use of any cloud services unless it resides in Alberta. So they're pretty much not allowed to use the Dropboxes and all that type of stuff. So this was a good use case for us because we host our own anchor server inside of Alberta. So we were able to offer this as a sync tool with with the realtors there. So we were able to turn on file server enablement and have their separate files all sync to each of their laptops, which has actually helped them because before this happened, they used to have to come into the office to sign documents and send them back and forth with their assistants and everything. But now they're able to work anywhere they have an internet connection, and then their assistants are able to just drop files into folders for them, and they get it within a minute or so, depending on the internet connection. So it's been an awesome deal, and it was a nice catch for us because we didn't have to spend thousands of dollars on replacing an on-premise server in the end.
Right, and I guess you bring up a really important capability I didn't mention earlier. I mean, Anchor can be licensed from eFolder either in a private cloud format like Bulletproof Infotech is doing, where they just license the software from us and then they run their own colo location and provision their own storage for the application. So that's one choice partners have, and it really comes in handy in these data sovereignty type scenarios where you want to keep data in Canada or keep data in the province of Alberta, overseas in Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. These are all markets where we've had a lot of good uptake for private cloud. But at other cases, you just have clients who, either large sophisticated clients who want to keep their own data behind their own firewall. You can use Private Cloud Anchor for that, or we sometimes have just MSPs that this is their preferred go-to-market strategy. They want to license just the software. But the vast majority of partners do use our SaaS version, where it's 100 gigabytes per user per month, pooled at the partner level, and all of the storage is provisioned and delivered by the eFolder cloud as a public service. That's the more common deployment scenario. But anyway, it's good, Steve, to hear how you guys are using the private cloud version of Anchor. Matt, why don't you talk to us a little bit about how you're using file server enablement? Matt, do we still have you?
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, so we work with a handful of clients that have manufacturing operations in China. Actually just speaking to one of the clients this morning. And there's a couple challenges with that. One, there's a lot of time on a flight. And some of the flights don't have Wi-Fi or it's extremely expensive. And there, too, the issues with the Great Firewall of China. So this current executive is flying to China today. He's just there for basically a turnaround flight. He's there for 2 days and he's coming back, so he's traveling just as much as he's there. So he was really excited when we enabled him to work nonstop on all the documents that he normally kept on his server, not having to worry about VPN not working in China and not having to just waste time on the airplane watching reruns of movies. So yeah, it's worked out really well. Like I said, we just talked to him this particular client this morning as he was heading out, so he was excited.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I think just being able to, there's just so many people who are
very pleased with the ability or the reality of being able to eliminate the need for VPN in so many cases. I mean, I think it's historically been a very large admin burden and support burden for MSPs, and it's one of those kind of technologies that users have traditionally really goofed up in many cases, right? So the VPN, getting rid of the need for VPN is pretty powerful.
Yeah, and the offline access was great for him as well.
That's right. And then you're going to have all those scenarios where you want your critical files with you in a secure fashion, and you're going to be offline for a while, and you're using it then, and then once you're back online, everything gets synced back up. So David, tell us about your use of file sync.
Yeah, I'm always surprised. It happens every couple of months that a customer will surprise us with a new use case and say, hey, guess what we figured out? But this particular customer is a multinational company that basically does maintenance on hydroelectric dams, and working all over North America, Canada, U.S., Central America. Basically, all of their people go in and out of hydroelectric plants all day long where they can't even get cell phone coverage. So this has been a tremendous boost to productivity where people can take their laptops in. In some cases, there's cell phones in. Anchor has a great app where you can actually, not only sync up on the fly with your cell phone, but also make those files available offline on your cell phone. So these various supervisors have been trained to use the app on their laptop as well as on their cell phone, can take pictures, sync those up when they get back to the hotel, or work on documents offline, keeps their business moving and productive, and allows them to just keep working on files that the central office needs to see. In addition to that, Anchor has got the fantastic built-in, collision capability. So if two people happen to be working on the same file at the same time, the system will automatically alert these people that two people worked on the file, unless one of them locked it. Anchor's got file locking capability also, but the collision technology allows them to see, hey, so-and-so made changes to this file too. I better review that before I overwrite somebody else's file. So it's been a tremendous boost. Anywhere from 10 to 15 projects going on nationally.
Awesome. So let's. I want to make sure for the audience that we have plenty of time to address questions from the floor. But let's. I just want to maybe touch on. We've talked a lot about different use cases today, but I guess a couple of you have some customized kind of workflows that you've designed around Anchor. Could you kind of comment on that, and then we'll change gears to just talking about pricing and packaging the solution.
Yep, this is Matt with D2 Business Solutions. We've customized Anchor, and our actual service is called Drive to Go. And what we've done is we've bundled it into our hosted desktop platform as an option, which is called Desktop to Go, everything being D and the number 2 in it, following our branding. But that's one of the things that Anchor enables to do over like reselling Dropbox or Box was to again keep it all under the same brand, and we're able to have a single sign-on platform for cloud file sync, hosted applications, hosted email, rather than what a lot of MSPs are doing is reselling the Dropbox, or reselling Box, reselling Office 365, reselling another hosted app platform. The Anchor's allowed us to bring it all under a single data center, or redundant data centers, but a single platform, and give our clients one username and password to access all the services that they need. So that's been really cool. That's one of our unique selling points.
Awesome. Any other unique kind of applications?
This is David from Azzaron. We do a similar thing where we bundle it into a desktop product. We have a product, as opposed to just a generic desktop product, we've kind of specialized in niche products. So we have a product specifically for construction or specifically for veterinary, and those are, the Anchor has been bundled in at the file server enablement level, and then again we kind of share, same username and password, kind of how Matt was saying, out to those customers. So it makes it very easy for them to integrate. And then in addition to that, we've done look and feel customization to make sure that when customers come in, they see our brand. So when they land on the web portal, for example, or install our app, they're seeing our logo and it's our brand name. Nobody knows necessarily that it's Anchor or eFolder. They just think that we've got services all integrated into one platform, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. And then I guess, so it sounds like a lot of the strategy for D2 and Azzaron is around kind of integrating file sync with virtual desktop and desktop as a service type applications. Steve, how are you guys kind of packaging Anchor? Do you sell it a la carte? Do you bundle it with your managed service offering?
Yeah, we've gone white label route. We've rebranded it, so to speak, to Bulletproof Ammo Box to kind of keep in our branding of the military theme that we got going on here. And we actually do bundle it with all our clients. They just know that they get it included in their plan every month. Some users, some companies obviously aren't using it yet, but the ones that do are just getting it bundled in their monthly fee.
Okay, great. And I think just a couple comments on how we price and package. Generally speaking, we see, partners will be able to lock in a wholesale price that ranges anywhere from $5 to $7 per user per month, depending on the volume you come in. And we think the street price floor for a business grade file sync product is around $15 for an unmanaged deployment. But really, you can charge $20 or $25 per user per month if you're delivering it as a fully managed service where you're evaluating the security and data privacy requirements of the clients. You're doing the deployment. You're doing the ongoing support. You're handling the adds, moves, and changes. You're dealing with data incidents. So, the key thing here is that there are, as I think was made clear from today's discussion, there are so many different ways you can deploy this product. It's more of a platform for data management. And therefore, there's a lot of extra services and labor you can put on top to help safeguard the client, make them more productive, save their bacon when something goes wrong, that you really can charge a premium for this. And we really strongly encourage you to be charging a premium or making sure that you are baking it into your overall managed services offering. In our discussions before today's webinar, what you see is that the partners we've gathered today, they're making really high recurring gross margins on these sorts of services. Now, things get a little more complex, parsing the margins if you bake it into an overall offering, but the general theme is consistent. eFolder, we supply you a competitively priced wholesale product that allows you to go out and solve a whole host of different challenges for the client, and you're able to really put together unique solutions on the one hand, deliver a really robust managed service, and really charge a premium because it is a business-grade service that really provides a lot of value to the client. If you have joined us today and you haven't yet begun using Anchor, we just relaunched this NFR program at IT Nation last week, and any MSP in the world can sign up for up to 25 users of Anchor for use internally in your own organization. If you just go to efolder.net/ Anchor NFR, you can get started with your own account for your company. Our philosophy here is we just want to make sure that every MSP out there has a chance to begin utilizing this product, because seeing is believing. And it's our belief that file sync will become, as commonly deployed as things like antivirus and RMM, because virtually, as you think you saw from today's webinar, there's all these different use cases, and every user needs this technology, frankly. No matter how you kind of have the data configured and how you manage productivity and workflows today, there's got to be some use case for almost virtually every single one of your clients. So with that, let's go back to the phones, if you will, or go to the Q&A log. So let's kind of get some questions answered from the Q&A log.
Very good, Ted. That's TC Doe. We got a lot that have poured in, so I want to thank the attendees today for submitting those questions. Let's get to some of these. And in some instances, you guys have answered these, but I think they're looking for a couple more, shall we say, a little more succinct answers. One question that's come in from George: where are eFolder's data centers? I've seen that Canadian customers are not eager to store data in the U.S. because of the Patriot Act. So the question is, where are the eFolder data centers?
Yeah, so eFolder operates 4 data center locations, 2 in the United States, Atlanta and Salt Lake City. Our Canadian location is in Kelowna, British Columbia, and in Europe we have a data center presence in Amsterdam, the Netherlands.
So a very effective way, in other words, for getting around data sovereignty issues, which are growing and increasingly important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's depending on the application, geography and latency matter, but most of the time we're dealing here with data sovereignty, and partners and their clients want to make sure the data is stored in the geography of where the legal jurisdiction they want to be under. So.
All right, Phil's got a good question, and again, I want to thank Steve, Matt, and David. Having practitioners on hand to help other practitioners, you can't beat that. So Phil's question is, how does Anchor merge change if 2 users change the same file that has been set to available offline?
Does somebody want to take that one?
I can answer that. This is David. So there's a collision reconciliation built in right into the app that sits on the desktop. And so if 2 people work on a file both offline, when both of those people sync back up, the system will allow those users, or let those users know that somebody else has modified that file. Now, at that point, that person can then choose to save that file as a new name so that changes to both files are not lost.
Okay. Blair's got a question that I think, frankly, is foremost in most people's minds. Ted, you guys have touched on it, but let's answer it directly. And Ted, why don't you start? And then if the partners want to weigh in, please. The question is very simple that I mentioned at the onset. Please outline the clear differences between your business-grade file sync compared to consumer services like Dropbox, the Box for Business.
Yeah, I mean, I would say first, to be clear, we would consider a product like Box to be a business-grade product. When we're talking about consumer-grade file sync solutions, these would be things like Google Drive, Dropbox. I mean, I think if you look at the market today, the most commonly deployed sync solution in the business workplace today is consumer-grade Dropbox. And the challenge with that, I mean, let's just kind of rattle off some of the obvious ones. When you've got clients that are using consumer-grade file sync solutions like Dropbox, you have no visibility into where that user is syncing the content. You can't control where they sync the content. You don't have an audit trail. You don't have rich configurable backup capabilities like we talked today to safeguard data no matter where it lives on a computing device where there might be vital work content. There's no file server enablement. There's no multi-tenancy. built in. So, I mean, at the base level, a consumer-grade file sync solution is designed for an individual to sync content and collaborate at a very light level with like family members, right? And a business-grade product is integrated with the security and permission structure of the security policies of a client. It's dealing with work content. So, I mean, I think we've kind of almost virtually every feature we've talked about in today's webinar is not available in a consumer-grade alternative. And that's really the difference. Now, and we'll go to the panel here for their comments in a moment, but the other thing is like a product like Box is a business-grade product. It's a good business-grade product. It's, in fact, I would call it enterprise class. The challenge with something like Box is it's not built for MSP. It doesn't have branding, pricing flexibility. It doesn't have multi-tenancy. It doesn't have ConnectWise PSA integration. It doesn't have those things that an MSP who's deploying a product to N number of clients needs to do this profitably and in a sophisticated manner. So I don't know if you guys have anything else to add in terms of distinguishing between consumer grade and business grade.
I think you summed it up well there. I mean, besides the file syncing, nothing else is similar. The centralized administration, the auditing, the security, the flexibility, and the control. I mean, it's night and day, a consumer product versus a business-grade product for MSPs.
For us, the ability to go out and actually remove files from a subcontractor or from a employee who's been terminated is fabulous. The system will go out and remove those files. One thing that we did as part of this education with our customers, because people simply don't understand the difference between consumer and business class or enterprise class, is we'll use our RMM tool to show owners or managers where Dropbox is installed in their organization. And usually it's a shock to them. In some cases, we have found at least 2 cases where people were stealing files from the company through Dropbox. And so those become instantaneous customers, not just of Anchor, but of our services, right? Because they want now to control that data. So it's an interesting tool from that standpoint, from controlling. But Anchor also, as a partner, gives us those marketing tools and gives us papers and various things that we can publish, blog posts and white papers to help educate customers. Those are fully, just like their policy on fully branding the portal, those white papers are fully brandable, blog posts are fully brandable to us. We send those out to customers, and they find that a tremendous service.
We're out of time, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to have to let that be our last comment. I want to thank everyone for their time in attending today, and I want to also highlight our next webcast. This is coming up on the 19th, Enabling VARs with True Disaster Recovery for SMBs. You can sign up at the varguy.com webcast. The URL is right there. And I want to thank our guests today. We had Ted Halsey, Vice President of Marketing with eFolder. Ted, well done. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And, of course, our partners, without whom we couldn't have pulled this off, practitioners helping practitioners. You can't get better than that. With us today, of course, we're Steve Lawson with Bulletproof, Matt Dubois, D2 Business Solutions, David Lawson, Azzaron. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Having us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
This is T.C. Doyle with Penton Technology. And again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please come back, join us again for our next one. But we'll be looking at you, and special thanks to eFolder for putting this on today. Thank you so much, everyone.